Hi everybody, Jo here again. Thanks so much for popping in. Hope you're feeling okay and you're having a good day. Now, I wanted to share with you this design. Quite a clean and simple design. We're only going to use a couple of stamps, and I love these designs because this could be a birthday card, a get well card, a thinking of you card. You know, you could even add some house numbers and make it into a move into your new home card. And I find January is a good time to make those emergency cards that you might need for the rest of the year. So I love using our older stamps. This one is called the Zen Leaf, and our lovely sentiment, fairy dust is like love. It creates magic whenever you give it away. And I thought that they're just such lovely words. You could turn it into a Valentine's card. I don't know about you, but look at that. For me, it looks like a peacock's tail feather. So I've gone for those sorts of colours. But you can mix it up. You could even use it for underwater, add the lovely fish. Anyway, so many options. But also, because I've stamped top and bottom, I'm going to use the stamp and spin tool. And a few of you have asked about this. Colour, we're going to use mica powders. But one thing I will say, I'm going to put some clear embossing powder on my stamping. For me, personally, I find it easier to add the colour, especially when there's a stamped part, because with putting clear embossing, it gives it a gutter, it raises it, so it's so much easier for me to add my Mica Minerals. I'll show you anyway. So we're going to start off with, I've got my lovely stamp and spin tool here. Now, there will be a reflection, I'm sorry about that, and I'm really sorry if it means you can see my face. And we're going to use a piece of our lovely A6 multifarious cardstock. And this is just a piece of copy paper I always put on to protect my grid. Now, with mine, I found there is a slight shift in my midline. If I was to stamp a wreath in the middle here, the gap here and here is not quite even. So there's a slight shift. If I put mine perfectly in the middle here, I actually find it doesn't stamp quite symmetrical. Now, anything like that, it could be the way mine is, it could be it rocks. It's not a problem. All it means is that I have a practice on copy paper and then I've marked my grid that for this design, for it to be more in the middle, it's slightly shifted to the left. So those of you with a stamp and spin will probably know exactly what I mean. But anything like this, just practice on copy paper. So one of the best tips I can give you is make sure your tool, so where I've got my dotted line, I have mine at 12 and 6. So I know it's there to start off with. And then I find it easier to put my stamp, make sure it's clean, actually on my design where I want it, rather than trying to work out where it's going on the lid. So just check it's the correct way, because I have been known to put it on upside down. Pick it up. Now I'm going to be using my Versafine Clair, and we're just going to use the Nocturne. Now I am going to add some embossing powder, but because I'm only stamping twice, it's going to be fine. I'll have enough time. So down, give it a good press. But again, just because we have the ability to stamp twice doesn't mean we necessarily want to. So do give it a good press. Don't be too soon to lift it up. Let that ink soak in. Like I say, let's not forget our good habits with stamping. Lift it up. Oh, perfect, love that. So I'm going to turn this round. And yes, I can feel it click, but also I'm just going to adjust it by eye, just slightly. And then ink it up again. And I've just got ink on the actual lid, but never mind. Make sure you ink it up properly, as you would when you're using a block. Like I say, good stamp, good press. Oh, perfect. So what we're going to do speedily is lift that up and add our embossing powder. We have got enough open time, and I'll tell you which one it is in a minute. It's important, I just want to get it on that ink. So I'll pop the lid on. So this one is the Clear Matte Dull. quite a mouthful, that. So we'll give that a bit of a tap and a bit of a flick, and then lift it up. Now, I'm just going to put myself another piece of copy paper, just so I minimise getting, because I'm going to use the tool again. So I don't want to take it off my table, but I don't want to get embossing powder on it, because obviously this is a bit tacky, this grid. And we don't want to get embossing powder, you know what it's like. So put the lid on that, put that safely away. Now, we're going to heat this. So for our new lovely followers, a heat embossing tool. I'm going to have it on the highest speed. It will be noisy, I'm afraid, and give it a couple of seconds to heat up before you put it on your work. So switch it on. As I say, bit noisy, and just give it, I'm just checking with my hand, I just want it to heat up nicely before I start embossing, and hopefully you'll be able to see how the work changes. It sort of goes a shiny black. You just slowly move around the design. The same here. You don't need to waft it at all, just slowly. Can you see that colour change? I hope you can see how it goes from dull to nice and shiny. And just make sure there we go, just make sure you've got it all done by looking at it in the light, and you see how it goes shiny. So that will be slightly, just moves it slightly. So we'll pop this back on here. And again, it's just slightly warped, but that's fine. Just because of the heat, it will go flat. But what I'm going to do now is pop my sentiment on. Now, again, I'm going to check this is exactly where I want it. It's clean. Pick it up. Ink it up. So again, I'm using this purely as a stamp press. And again, press it down. Lift it up. There we go. Beautiful. So I'll just lift this out of the way. We'll file it on the floor next to Mr. Eric. And then that is the design. And I just think that's so, you could batch card make these. Maybe put different sentiments in. Now we're going to add the colour. So what I've done is I've already painted the top of one of these, and I shall paint the bottom to finish it off, just to show you. Just because it's one of those lovely processes where I'm liable to lose myself, and we could be here literally all day. So lovely Lavinia acrylic block. The colours I'm using: Purple Power, Jade Burst, Spring Green, and the beautiful King's Gold. And I'm just going to get my spritzer bottle and just spritz a little bit of water in front of each. And then with my brush, I'm just going to dry my brush on my Inky Binky. So I'm just going to choose one colour. So we'll start with the purple, pick a little bit up. And I don't want to add too much water to start off with. And you'll get to work out which is the right consistency. And again, remember that trick, if you turn your brush look, it gives you that lovely point. So, and here's that deal breaker. It's fabulous. You can go over that middle bit with the way you've got the black, because it's raised. So your mica powder won't obliterate. And that's why I like to add the embossing powder. Now again, I just want to mix a little bit more. And if you're unsure of the difference, if I've not explained it very well, my suggestion would be just stamp it normally on your card and have a go at adding your Mica Minerals, and then stamp and emboss and just see the difference. Now I'm just randomly colouring areas. And for me, I've got to be honest, this is the hardest bit of this whole design, is being random. I don't do random well. but I'm trying not to overthink it. So I'm going to stop with the purple there, clean my brush and just wipe it on my cloth. And then we'll come into the blue. And again, I mix it out of that water so that I can just take a little bit more, and you use ever such a little, honestly, such a little, it does go a long way. Again, give it a roll, and then we'll come in here. Now you will take your time. You know, if Mr. Mojo's gone on holiday or you're a bit fed up, if it was me, I would stamp up half a dozen of these. Even leave the sentiment until you know what you're going to use the card for, because you can always add a sentiment, can't you? And then stamp some up, emboss them, and then just paint them. And spend the afternoon, make yourself a lovely brew, get yourself a little snack, and just have a go at painting. And you know what? I'm sure you'll just have such a lovely time. And if you've got things on your mind, it's amazing how the time just disappears. So I'm going to use the green now. And again, if it's a bit watery, I think that's a bit watery. So I'm just going to add a little bit more mica. And as I say, you'll get a feel for exactly how it should be. And I'm trying not to put my head over, so if you see the top of my head, all I can do is apologise. And look at that, I can go right over that, and it sort of acts as a resist. Right, so I think I'm going to come in with my gold now, and if I've got, I can always go back and add another one in another colour. So I'm happy with that one there being gold. And then this one here. And then this one here, look how far it goes. And like I say, if you batch card make this, because I've got far too much powder on there, after we've had our little catch-up, I'm going to have to stamp something else and watercolour it. Because look, and then with the gold, look, I'm just going to take it, and we've got all these little dots here, and I'm just going to fill them in. Honestly, it's so lovely. And again, I need to just angle it slightly. And if I miss any, by all means shout, but whether I'll be able to hear you, I can't guarantee. Have you ever done that? Have you ever coloured something in, and it's only when you come to write the card, you look at it, and often when you're actually looking at something, you miss. Once you've looked and you think you've got everything, it's hard then to see anything that you've missed, if that makes sense. I used to find when I did exams at school, and the teacher would always say, read it through, but I would just reread my mistakes. It's weird, probably just me. Anyway, often if I miss something, it's only when I come weeks later to actually write the card, and then I see it and I think, oh, how did I miss that? When I was doing it, I didn't notice. So I'm hoping I've got them all. If I've missed any, as I say, all I can do is apologise, and I'll try and pick it up later. Oh, there's one. Yeah, you see, thank you. Whoever shouted for that one. And just one there I haven't quite caught. But look at the shimmer on that. I just think that is beautiful. And if you want to go later and add a little bit more round the edge, just for a bit more depth, you can go back in. But what I'm going to do is I just want to add a few little splatters. So I'm going to pick up some of the gold, and I'm just going to come in and add a few little splatters here and there. I'm just going to slide those out of sight. I don't want to knock the pots over. And then the very last little finishing trick, just going to get my white Posca pen, give it a shake, and just on some of these, just going to add some little highlights. Again, not everywhere, just a couple of nice little, so it just catches almost a little bit of reflection. Can just add a little bit there and there. There we go. Now, as I say, I love that. And I'm thinking, which of our other stamps could we use? So if you've got the Stamp and Spin, I know I love making wreaths, and yes, I have done quite a few. But remember, you can just use it to do a lovely, well, I'm just going to call it top and tail, above and below. Who knows what it's called? It just makes it quicker and easier for me. Thanks so much for popping in, and I hope you have fun painting with your Mica Minerals. You take care. Have a lovely week. Love and hugs from me. Bye for now.